What is up, everyone? Brandon First, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench podcast network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are First. Welcome into another edition of the Changeup, where we break down everything Major League Baseball has to offer. And of course, when I say we, I say myself and my co-host, as always, Bryanna Winner. You can find Bryanna at bwinner12, and I wouldn't say she's playing hurt today, but she's playing against her will, if you will. She definitely didn't want to have to do this, but we are professionals. Both of our teams struggling. Hers a lot more than mine, as she has repeatedly reminded me. But Bryanna, feel like I know the answer to this, but it's in my contract. I have to ask, how you doing?
I don't want to.
I feel like that's been your answer, your first words for the last 3 podcasts, unfortunately.
Okay, but this is much worse than it has been. At least they were in a fight for a second.
Yeah.
Now they're just fighting to stay alive.
Yeah, it's progressively getting worse. It's a downhill trend, unfortunately. But yeah, we are at the All-Star break, so we do have some All-Star All-Star rosters to talk about. We'll check over the standings, obviously check on both of our teams, even though neither of us want that to happen.
At least you're in second.
And then our usual 3 up, 3 down. But of course, we will start with the big news of the week, or at least, of the season so far. The All-Star game is just right around the corner. The Home Run Derby will be a week from today, as we do record on the 11th of July. It's going to be an interesting one at Dodger Stadium. The All-Star game that was supposed to happen in 2020. Obviously, COVID stopped that, so the Dodgers get the All-Star game in 2022 as a bit of a reclamation. So we will see that game. 2 Angels make the starting roster, and I think that was it. Just Ohtani and Trout. Machado for my Padres. Definitely some snubs here and there. Definitely some surprises. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts? Obviously, it's been a tough go in LA for the Angels, but in terms of Ohtani and Trout, they're doing what they have kind of expected to do. What are your thoughts on the All-Star teams, your team, and then, of course, overall?
I'm just happy those 2 are healthy, because if they weren't, the Angels would be doing much worse right now. Well, the legacy All-Stars, I guess. Why was Molina not put in there if Pujols was? And both of them are pretty much like in their final season. Molina deserves to be one.
I think it was 1 per league. And Pujols, and I think it was Cabrera who got the American League vote. I mean, it's unfortunate. But I don't think it will damper. I don't think anyone would have cared if Molina got it either. I would not be surprised. We always see it. We're about a week away from the game. Maybe somebody bows out and Molina kind of sneaks his way in just to kind of enjoy.
I mean, he wouldn't be able to play. He could just still be there.
That's true. Still on. You're right. He is anyway. Yeah, he is. Yeah. And that could have been it as well. Could have been a reason, you're going to give it to the guy who can go out and play. And who knows, maybe we'll see a Cal Ripken moment like he had in his final All-Star game, hitting a home run. Maybe Cabrera or Pujols or both could hit a home run in their final All-Star game. But yeah, that was something that did slip my mind. Pujols and Cabrera get the legacy vote from the commissioner.
Otherwise, I'm just glad Ohtani and Trout are there.
Yeah, I was surprised at how close the vote was at DH for Ohtani, or your Dan Alvarez. Obviously, Ohtani in just the DH side of things is right there with Alvarez, but obviously overall, what Ohtani brings to the table, what he had another first player ever to have 10 strikeouts in a game, 2 doubles, and a stolen base ever. I mean, just all kinds of different first time evers for Ohtani. And obviously Trout, as you said, is healthy and continuing to do Mike Trout things. Obviously, it's going to be kind of cool to see the Contreras brothers. They both make the All-Star game. I think it's the first time since 92. I don't know for sure, but just seeing 92, I would assume it's the Alomar brothers. Don't quote me on that, but That was kind of cool to see that. Obviously, we'd seen their embrace when the Cubs and Braves played. Two guys that came from somewhere in Latin America. I want to say Cuba, but that's probably not true. Just going back to the Contreras, the pitcher, I forget his name. One of the first Contreras is coming up, but yeah, that was kind of cool. And then obviously for me, Manny Machado, barely kind of eking out Nolan Arenado. Machado has kind of struggled of late, got that bit of an ankle injury that kept him out for about 8 to 10 games. He's had a bit of a slow return, but he will be the starting third baseman in Dodger Stadium. So that'll be an interesting dynamic. Not exactly a crowd favorite up at Chavez Ravine for Manny Machado, but the All-Star game, still plenty of players probably going to drop out and sneak their way in. There were a lot of snubs, if you will. I think Taylor Rogers probably deserved to be there for the Padres. The Joe Musgrove also makes it for the Padres. I will bring that out. He won't start. And then I also think Ty France, the former Padre up in Seattle, I think he deserved a chance to play in an all-star game, but doesn't get that opportunity. So always some of those situations. And as Bryanna just let me know and corrected me, it's Venezuela. I knew it was somewhere in Latin America for those two. So great to see the Contreras brothers make it. And obviously all of the all-stars, for me, one of my favorite all-star games, really the only one where, you know, you can kind of go out and have a competitive game, hockey, football, and basketball, a little more contact. So they shy away from some of the, you know, more usual sport there, but baseball, you can go out, give it 110% and not worry too much about injury. So, but moving on to the standings update, as we essentially have hit the halfway point of the 2022 season. We will start in the National League East, where we have, let me go. There we are. There are my notes. All right. So starting in the National League East, where the last time we did this little standings update, a lot of things have changed, or at least the difference has changed, and that being the Mets with only a game and a half lead up on the Braves. The Braves might be the hottest team in all of baseball, as they're 8-2 in their last 10, won 3 in a row. They're only a game and a half behind the Mets. The Phillies have been playing some good ball as well. They are still 7 back of New York. And then the Marlins and Nationals both pretty off the beaten trail, at least in the division. The Marlins 11 games back and the Nationals 24 games back. I don't think we're going to see a second half resurgence from the Nats. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts on the National League East tightening up at the top?
I mean, we kind of knew it was going to be a 2-horse race. It was just going to be a matter of, are the Mets going to be healthy type of thing? Just like we can say with the American League East, it's always with those two, are they healthy enough? Because they have been injury ridden for a very long time, and it's good to see them actually like healthy and competing. But like you said, Atlanta is one of the hottest teams right now, and they could just overtake them within a matter of weeks. And then do they play each other again?
I think they actually start a series this week. Let me check that while I stall and check their schedule. There we go. Perfect. So a big series there. I mean, a sweep from the Braves could totally turn things around. Or, you know, the Mets could come out and do some things well. Obviously, the Phillies still a team, I think, overall in the wild card to keep an eye on. I don't know if the division can really get there or if they can make up that time there. But the Braves really playing good ball. And for the Mets, you did talk about the health, and you're right. They are relatively healthy, but they are still, of course, waiting on Scherzer and DeGrom to return. And if they can get those guys back without losing anybody else, that would be something they would definitely feel very confident about. But those are kind of big ifs right now, at least in DeGrom's case. I think Scherzer's a lot closer to getting back if he hasn't gotten back already. But moving to the Central, that is, well, look, it's not a great. Yeah, it's the Central, and both leagues are the Centrals are kind of the I don't want to say the redheaded stepchilds, but they're just not the most talented divisions, and the top kind of shows it. But the Brewers have, I don't want to say distance themselves from the Cardinals, but they have one of their biggest leads of the season at 2.5 games. They're 48-39. The Cardinals 46-42, 2.5 back. And then you see a pretty big drop when you go from the Pirates to the Cubs to the Reds. The Pirates 11.5 back, Cubs 13.5 back, and the Reds 15.5 back. It's definitely a 2-horse race in the Central, has kind of been what we expected. Bryanna, what are your thoughts? The Brewers maybe making a little bit of headway in that, but the Cardinals still have a lot of firepower to try and make it a little tighter towards the end.
The Cardinals need Molina healthy.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. They really need Molina to be healthy. And I think that's been their biggest issue right now, because he's been out for the last, month, 2 months?
I'd say, 2 to 4 months or 2 to 4 weeks at that point.
Yeah. And then the bottom of this Central might change in a minute. It might change by the end of the weekend. So
yeah.
I don't like it, but we all kind of knew it was coming, because we all know the Cubs are kind of in a rebuild like they usually are, and they just can't seem to get out of it. And I don't want to put those Reds on the up list
Well,
because of this.
They've figured things out. They're not going to be very good. They're not going to win. They're not going to make a wild card, but they're also probably not going to lose 120 games like we thought they may early on. They've definitely figured it out. But yeah, the Central, Brewers, Cardinals, pick between those two. And just to kind of show you, the Brewers are 4-6 in their last 10. The Cardinals 3-7. So yeah, not a torch bearing division there. But the division out west in the National League has definitely not gotten any tighter. I'll go a little deeper into this when, of course, we talk about the Padres, as they are now 8 games behind the Dodgers, who are 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 7 in a row. The Giants sit behind the Padres, 4.5 games behind them, 12.5 back of the Dodgers. They are only 43-41 as they have struggled. And then the Diamondbacks and Rockies are actually tied now for last, 18.5 games back, 38-48. The Dodgers, the last time we spoke, it was about 2 weeks ago. The Dodgers had a 2-game lead, or a 1.5 game lead on the Padres. Obviously, now it being a 8-game lead, you don't need me to tell you how the weeks have gone for the Padres over the last 2 of them. So it's tough out west. The Dodgers look poised to win their, it seems like, 115th straight division title. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts overall on the National League West not really being competitive at this moment?
At least you have a chance at the playoffs still.
Yes, big facts.
You still have a chance.
Yes.
The other West does
not. On the other
we did know the Dodgers were probably going to lead this division, and we knew it was going to be either a 2 or 3 horse race. So who cares about Colorado and Arizona at this point?
Yeah,
because we knew they were going to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised with Arizona, how, I'll put air quotes in this for the listeners only, that how good they've been, or better they've been. Obviously, they lost 115 games last year. So you kind of got to go up from there. But yeah, it's been tough out in the bottom part of the West. And really, the bottom part of the West is essentially anybody but the Dodgers at this point. But switching to the American League, we look at the East first and foremost. And my goodness, the Yankees continue to kind of run away with that division, even with the Red Sox playing much better. I mean, this division is overall the best in baseball. The Yankees 61-25. They have a 14-game lead on the Red Sox, 15.5 up on the Rays, and 16.5 up on the Blue Jays. All of those teams are over 500. And the Orioles, who we'll talk about momentarily, they're only 1 game below 500. They are 18.5 games back. The American League East, as good as it is not competitive. The Yankees have to really have a massive collapse, which which is possible with their track record. But in terms of what we've seen the first, 80 something games, it doesn't look likely. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts? The American League East.
I had more hopes for Toronto.
That's fair.
Like we knew that we were hoping that they would be higher up on this list. I thought they were going to be higher up on this list, but they have pretty much fallen apart in the last 2 months. Because at one point they were second.
Yeah.
In the East. They've just fallen flat like the West has.
Fair.
Both Wests.
Yeah, both. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's fair. But once again, we'll talk about them a little bit later. But the Orioles to be doing what they're doing, that's incredibly surprising. Maybe the biggest surprise in all of baseball. I know. I'm sorry, Bryanna. It's unfortunate, but they've been picked on and they've been so bad for so long. I just felt like I had to throw one more little in there. But overall,
I get that. But they swept me.
I know. Once again, it's anybody but the Padres or Angels, and I think we'd be singing their praises, or at least Bryanna would be helping me join.
Hell, if they could have done that to the Dodgers, I think we both would have been very happy about it.
We had our fun when the Pirates took down the Dodgers.
That was great.
That was a fun little bit in that podcast. But the East is just really good, starting obviously with at the top, but I don't think either of us are going to sit here and bet the house that the Yankees will hold this. Even with that big lead, there's still, the injury bug that could rear its ugly head, or other things coming forward. Still a lot to play for. Still, another 8 or 75 games to go into those pressure-packed games of August and September. So moving on to the Central, where this is once again another division. It's very central-ish. It's right there. The kids say mid. Well, that's kind of where they are. The Minnesota Twins sitting at the top with a healthy 4.5 game lead. The Twins are 48-40, 4.5 game lead over the Guardians, 41-42 in that. The White Sox still 5 games back. They've just not been able to make any real progress overall. And then you get 2 of the worst teams in baseball in Detroit and Kansas City. Detroit just a little bit better than Kansas City, 36-50, but Kansas City 33-52. Tigers 11 back, Kansas City 13.5 back. A 3-horse race, if you even consider it a race at this point. The Twins looking good, but obviously if the White Sox can get healthy and figure things out, maybe that could be something. But the fact that Tony La Russa still has a job may be one of the more surprising things in baseball. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts on the American League Central?
I don't think either of us predicted Minnesota to be here, especially after the year they had last year. I had more hopes for the White Sox, and I hope they can figure it out, because I do really want to see them win. But Cleveland came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the Central's the Central.
Yeah. I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, obviously we say Cleveland kind of came out of nowhere, but I think it's more the bad division. This is just they're 41-42, Cleveland being sitting in second place and still only 4.5 games back. And when it comes to the White Sox, I kind of look at them with the Red Sox. They're a team that we know are better than what their record shows. But the difference is the Red Sox are going up against the juggernaut that is the Yankees. That I think they went the Red Sox went like 18-6 in June, but only made up a half game in the division. Well, if that happens in either Centrals, you're probably in first place. No team has really taken control of this. So I think for the White Sox, they'll still feel okay being only 5 games back with all the, let's say, BS that has happened throughout the year. But it is time to now look at the American League West.
No.
So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to just give my thoughts on it, and I'm going to give it to Bryanna, and we're going to dive straight into the winner's circle. And yeah, it's going to be a bit tough, but Bryanna is going to be as she'll give us the truth straight from the heart. But The American League West is it's not
Bad.
a race at this moment. The Houston Astros have continued to kind of do what they normally do. They are 56-29. They have a 12-game lead on the Mariners, who have been playing really well. I'm sorry, I had to say it. They are 45-42, 12 games back. The Rangers, yes, the Rangers sit in third place, 16 games back. The Angels are 19 games back, and the Athletics are really bad. Let's focus all our attention on how bad the A's are. They are 29-58. And yes, I do believe they are the worst team in baseball. They are the only team to have yet to win 30 games. So once again, let's all focus on how bad the A's are when we look at the West. If you're going to get negative about the American League West, get negative only about the Oakland A's and nobody else. But Bryanna, the floor is yours for however you would like to run the winner's circle. If you'd like to give me some insight into the American League West, feel free. If you just want to scream obscenities, feel free. The floor is yours.
I get you're trying to make me feel better with the A's, but it's just not happening.
I'm trying.
Family show, I'm not going to scream obscene. Okay. I'm not doing it.
Darn it.
I just really don't want to do this. Okay, so I really, really don't want to do this. So they are 2-8 in their last 10. They've lost 4 straight, all of which to the Baltimore Orioles, which hurts me. They went 1-1 against the Marlins, and their only win was a 5-2 win that Ohtani pitched. 7 innings, gave up only 2 hits, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts, and hit the go-ahead single in the 5th. Again, that's the only bright spot to this. Then they went 0-4 against Baltimore, and that's all I'm going to say about that one. And prior to the All-Star break, Astros tomorrow through Thursday, Dodgers Friday and Saturday, and then All-Stars. That's all I'm going to mention. There's nothing more to mention because they did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's been tough. They're in really everywhere outside of Houston if you're in the American League West. Then I'll piggyback on top of that. In the National League West, unless you're wearing that blue, you're not feeling too good right now. And that certain shade of blue. Rockies fans, that's purple. Don't call yourself blue. But anyways, it's been tough, obviously, for the Padres is what I'm going to focus on. And the last time we spoke, we were talking about a big series that the Padres had to deal with the Dodgers. Obviously, that 4-game series, they struggled mightily. They were lucky to get one of those 3. They do get one. It was the 3rd and final game of this, fourth and final game of that series. The Padres did salvage one against the Dodgers, but in their last 10, they unfortunately are 3-7, I should say. And as I said earlier, they are 8 games behind the Dodgers at this point, who are on a tear. To make matters even worse, the Padres had a 4-game set with the Giants, and they got off to a great start in that series. They won their first 2 games and then got absolutely demolished. Carlos Rendon was really good on Saturday, and then Mackenzie Gore, his struggles continue. Padres lose 12-0 on Sunday to the Giants, and the Giants salvage a split after the Padres win the first 2. Looking ahead for the Padres, you got 4 against Colorado and 3 against Arizona. If there are thoughts of winning this division, they're probably rather outlandish, but you got to win a minimum of 5 games in this 7-game stretch against teams that are not good in their division. Just the facts, period. And then you can go into the All-Star break. Looking on the other side of the All-Star break, 3 against the Mets and 3 against Detroit. Once again, they took care of business against the Mets earlier this year, winning 2 out of 3. That was at Petco. And Detroit, I don't care how bad things are in San Diego, they should not make a situation where they have to lose to the Tigers. But it's been another tough run for the Padres, but every tough run they've had this year, they've kind of pulled themselves up, and they have the schedule laying out in front of them that looks like they're going to be able to do that. Could be a situation where beating up on lower division teams, or lower talent teams in your division, I should say, is something the Padres have to do to salvage their season. They'll start in Colorado and then 3 at home against Arizona before the All-Star break. So it is time now for us to dive into our 3 ups and 3 downs. And despite Bryanna's frustrations, these 3 ups that I had to choose this week were not targeted towards her. They just seem to be,
Feels like
unfortunately. Yeah, but the numbers make it pretty hard to go anywhere else. But the first one is going to be a team I already kind of called out for good reason. That was the Baltimore Orioles. What a bit of a story they've been, much to the chagrin, unfortunately, of, at this point, the Angel fans, but really teams that have also expected to pick up easy wins against the Orioles. Not been the case. By far, the best last place team in all of baseball, that is the Baltimore Orioles. And as much as that sounds like a backhanded compliment, it really isn't for the Orioles, for a team that's been so bad for what seems like so long. Bryanna, let's see if you can try and put that other frustration away of the last 4 games from this team. Maybe give them a little bit of credit, because I do know that you have, a soft spot in your heart for the Orioles, because we've just absolutely beaten them down for the last 4 or 5 years. I know
I wouldn't say a soft spot. They're just bad.
Oh, man.
Look, I'm just not happy about how things have turned out for the Angels, and them losing 4 games to a team that literally is the bottom of the barrel in the East does not help.
Got it. Yeah, it's
just keep in mind that's what all of the ups are going to be in terms of.
Well, and then the last one will be a little bit towards me, unfortunately, but we have to do what we got to do here. But Bryanna, what is our first down of the week?
First down of the week is mostly just because they've let Atlanta get to within 1.5 games. It's literally going to be the Mets. Look, you have been on the top of this division the entire year, and you had like a 8-game lead at one point, something like that. And now it's down to a game and a half, and you're playing this team for 3 games this week. Yeah. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah.
It seems like the injury bug may have gotten him, but it really didn't.
No, I think a lot of it too, you have to give credit to Atlanta. They've, like I said, been the hottest team in all of baseball. Now they get to go up against the big one and kind of a measuring stick, a really good game, a good series upcoming. But I agree with you. The Mets, despite being 6-4 in their last 10, the run differential, it's gone towards the Braves. They're plus 72 to the Mets plus 70. That's something I always keep an eye on. So I think we both kind of expected the Braves to make a real run at this, and they're doing just that. So our second up of the week, this one is another tough one for Bryanna to swallow, but she has to. 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 8 in a row. They are the Seattle Mariners, and the only defense I will say, I know Bryanna is frustrated with my ups. I could have thrown the Astros in here instead of the Orioles, and then Bryanna probably wouldn't be on right now, but I didn't. But we have to call it like we see it. The Seattle Mariners playing really good ball. They're actually over 500 for the first time in quite some time for the Mariners, 45-42. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts? I know it's tough and it's unfortunate, but you kind of felt like you were going to be battling the Mariners this year. Maybe not for 4th, but either way, what are your thoughts on the Mariners playing much better?
If you had put Houston on here, they have been leading this division pretty much since the 2nd month of the season. So that wouldn't be fair now, would it?
Well, it's more of a hot and cold list rather than an actual moving up or moving down list, just a play on words. But no, I couldn't do that.
You hate it too. You would hate it too. No,
believe me, my 3rd up is not any fun for myself, but
it's not any fun for both of us.
Yeah.
and I have to face them this week. So still,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I thought it was going to be like a run for second with Seattle, but I didn't think that it was going to be this bad. Because at one point, the Angels were fine fighting for first.
Yeah.
And then everything happened.
And then the other shoe dropped, if you will. But yeah, it's good news there in Seattle, though. Our friend Tim Chad, he'll be very happy with what he's seen from that young team as they've kind of started to figure it out. So good for them. Unfortunately, bad for our co-host over there. But Bryanna, what is our second down of the week?
Texas. It's gonna be Texas. If I can't choose the Astros, I'm choosing the other. So Texas was in second for quite a bit, and then Seattle happened. Look, they like last week they were in second, and then Seattle just decided, oh, we're gonna compete now and actually do something. So that's pretty much how it's been.
Yeah, Texas moving down, and I think probably closer to where we expected them. Probably
we expected them last.
Yeah, I expected Oakland to be last, but yeah, Texas to be there as well. At the very least, they actually spent some money. Maybe not the best idea with Simeon and Seager, but at least threw some money at the team. But yeah, we'll see where Texas ends up, as they're definitely coming back down to earth a bit there. So the third and final up of the week. Look, it's the Dodgers. I hate to say it, but it is our duty here to, call it like we see it. They've won 7 in a row. They have an 8-game lead. They're 9-1 in their last 10. I hate them. End of story. Bryanna, any thoughts?
I hate them. End of story.
All right, fair enough. What is our third and final down of the week?
It's my other team. It's going to be the Chicago Cubs. And it's really just because of the fact that they at least had some distance between them and the red hot Reds. But now they really don't. They're only 2 games up now. And the Cubs have gone 4-6. The Reds have gone 6-4. And it's not going to get much better going into this All-Star break, because they've got the red hot Orioles in the first series of the week. And then right before the All-Star break, they have the Mets. So if the Reds are going to make a jump, it's going to be now.
Yeah, I think you got to kind of look at that and wonder overall, do the Reds stay in last place? And I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, the Cubs probably finish there. And then you start asking questions about David Ross situation like that. And then, hey, there's an old friend out there that's available. His name's Joe. He's unemployed. I'm sure he'd love to come back to Chicago, either Chicago. Yes, that was a shot towards you, Tony La Russa, as well. But
hey, we made that shot like 2 weeks ago. So
yep, always gonna take that shot if we can. But Bryanna, any final thoughts for this edition of the Changeup?
Just so we have no idea, just because what's going to happen at this All-Star game?
Oh,
what's going to happen with Dodger Stadium and the concession workers who are now threatening a strike days before the All-Star break? It's going to be interesting. And they are threatening it after 99% of employees, according to the union, voted in favor of a strike, and because they are struggling to stay housed and make ends meet. Do better, Dodgers.
Yeah. I
have all this money, use it on them.
It's unfortunate. I think a lot of people, I got really, really happy last weekend when I filled up for $5.99. I was really happy to pay less than $6. So I know there's a lot of us that are dealing with the big old inflation, that I word. And obviously this is another case here, and definitely going to put some bit of a question mark, at least on the off-field situation. It'll be very interesting to see how that ends up there. But hopefully at the end of the day, we get the All-Star game as it intended, and at the very least they get their living wage that they need. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on, as we're about 8 days away from the Midsummer Classic in Los Angeles at Chavez Ravine. It should be very, very interesting. 2 years later than it was supposed to be in 2020. But that is all we have for you here on this edition of the Changeup, presented by the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first, it is time for y'all to go wash your hands and stop hating everybody. We'll talk to you all very soon. Have a great day. Take care.